Last night was the State of the Union address from President Joe Biden. We enjoyed ourselves a little drinking game over at Timcast IRL, cracked open some beers. Lauren Southern basically just slammed a bunch of beers regardless of the drinking game we were playing, but we all had a really good time. We had bingo cards that if Biden did or said certain things, you get to mark them off. And it was like, if he said our democracy or if only Democrats were clapping. What was one? If what's tripping, and I think Nancy Pelosi did. So we're like, we'll take it. You know, it wasn't Joe Biden, but you know, so we had a good time. And I think the most important part of the night was on our bingo cards, we had Biden uses fake words. And the question there was if he intentionally made up a word or if he just said a fake word. And so we all agreed that when Joe Biden said the word clownfeck, okay, we decided that was a fake word. What he meant to say was conflict. But Joe Biden said clownfic. Now, there's a bunch of moments of the night where what we're getting with Joe Biden is great value MAGA. He said he wanted to secure the borders, that he was a capitalist, he wanted to fund the cops. And I got to tell you, it's as disingenuous as they come. They know their polls are tanking, so I'll show you their polls among independent voters. They're desperate to win them back, and it's not going to work. With that being said, we'll get into all that. The most important part of the night in terms of Joe Biden screwing up was when he referred to Ukrainians as Iranians. I'm not kidding. Now, Ian on the show said he thought it was Uranians, and the Daily Wire agrees. The Daily Wire believes Joe Biden said Uranians, but I think in the context of words that exist, Uranian, like it's really close to being the same word if you said Iranian. I think he said Iranian, and I'll tell you why. He may have said Uranian, like trying to say Ukrainian, but he said Uranian. The reason I think it's Iranian is because that's a real place and a real people. And I'll tell you why. This is one of the most dangerous things he could have said. There was a moment where Joe Biden was speaking, I think it was at the G7, and he was talking about Syria, we think, and he kept saying Libya. Now, the problem is, if we as the American people or NATO or the G7 nations or the UN have to guess what we think Joe Biden is talking about when he refers to large countries and millions of people, eventually someone's going to get hurt. So I'll tell you, when Joe Biden was saying Libya over and over again, and the media was like, he meant to say Syria, you don't know that. You don't know that. And if the president says Libya, who are you to decide what he really said? And that's what's happening. So maybe Joe Biden literally meant to say Iranians. And we're just going like, oh, silly Joe, he gaffed again. Axios says Biden calls Ukrainians Iranians during State of the Union. You don't know that. He said the Iranian people. Why would you assume he meant anything else? Now that's crazy. We have a bunch of viral moments out of the State of the Union. And let me just stress, plagiarism across the board. One of the things we had on our bingo cards was if Joe Biden plagiarizes. Now, unfortunately, our crew here who drew up the cards wrote plagiarize, because I don't know how to spell plagiarize, I guess, but bless their little hearts. But Joe Biden not only plagiarized the core of his entire State of the Union address, basically being great value MAGA, like you go to Walmart and you got Donald Trump and then you got Joe Biden's brand of MAGA. Aside from that, he actually took a quote from Donald Trump where he said the State of the Union is strong. I think it was the quote was, Donald Trump said, the State of the Union is strong because the American people are strong. And Joe Biden said, the State of the Union is strong because you, the American people, are strong, or something to that effect. Outright plagiarism. And we know it. Now, the question is, stealing Donald Trump's platform, will it work? Dare I say no, my friends, it won't. And the reason is, as I explained last night on IRL, Joe Biden is the man himself who has been captured pooping on my lawn. And so when he comes to my house and says, vote for me, and I'll make sure no one poops on your lawn, I'm like, bro, I have you on camera. It's you doing it. The borders are weak because of you. Inflation is bad because of you. COVID deaths because of you. You don't get to come to me now and say, I'll fix it all. You didn't fix it in the first place. You made it worse. That was the analogy I used. Imagine your neighbor takes a crap on your lawn, and then you're like, what are you doing? And then he shows up one day like, I'm running for city council. If you vote for me, I'll stop the crap on your lawn. It's like, yo, I'm not going to empower you. You're the guy who did it. I'm going to vote for the other guys that's going to arrest you for doing it. So this is what's truly amazing. Joe Biden, let me tell you, let me back up what I just said with some reasoning. Inflation. Joe Biden and the Democrats have been very much in favor of the mass printing of money and mass spending, dumping trillions of dollars into the economy, which contributes to inflation. Joe Biden has been pro-lockdown and pro-mask early in the year. Granted, it's all kind of early in last year. It is wrapping up this year. I think they realized the polling was bad. That's why they're changing their tune. But it was Democrat governors, the Democratic establishment, as to why the economy was doing so miserably. Not 100%. Obviously, COVID and war plays a role. I can't blame Biden for all of it. And I'm not trying to say that. I'm trying to say that he plays a role in this. And if he is a contributing factor, I'm not going to support him in trying to fix his own mistakes. If I hire a plumber and he breaks my toilet, I'm not going to be like, well, here's some more money. Keep at it. I'm going to be like, call a different plumber. Get someone else out here. Let's talk about COVID. Now, operating on the entire narrative from the establishment, this is what we're going for. You have COVID is very serious. We have an opportunity to end COVID through the vaccine. Joe Biden wants to take credit for this. Donald Trump's the one who pushed Operation Warp Speed to get the vaccine done and ready. So, sorry, Joe, that's not on you. But Donald Trump did hand you the keys to the solution based on the establishment narrative of how we solve the problem, mass vaccination. I'm saying that because you go talk to your doctor, figure out what's right with you, right for you, as I always say. But if they believe that was the key, Donald Trump helped produce it, hands it to Joe Biden, and then in 2021, we had more COVID cases and deaths than the previous year when there was no vaccine. And COVID was deadlier in 2020 based on this on the science coming out of the CDC. As time goes on, COVID becomes more virulent but less deadly. So somehow, as it was getting easier for Joe Biden and being given the vaccine, several of them, it was still worse. I can't blame Joe Biden for everything. I can certainly say he was given the opportunity to solve it, and he didn't. When he goes up there and he says the Iranian people, I'm not going to assume he means anything but the Iranian people. I'm not sure what the context is, but that's irrelevant to me. If Joe Biden goes and speaks with world leaders and says, we're going to pledge $30 billion in arms to the Iranian people, and then Iran's like, okay, and then Israel's like, what? And it makes people panic and freak out and be like, you can't say that? What did you mean by that? Joe Biden, by saying that, could cause an international incident. Let me stress. We are talking about Poland and NATO providing arms and weapons to Ukrainians, and Joe Biden said Iranians. Imagine you get some like intern, and they're like, fill out the requisition form for armaments being sent to our allies, and then the intern's like, okay, I got the form, and Joe, what did you want me to fill out? And Joe Biden's like, we're gonna be sending $1 billion in guaranteed loans to the Iranian people. And the intern's like, Iranian people, you got it, Joe. I'd like to imagine there's some checks and balances in the federal government, and there are. But imagine this. There's a couple scenarios. One, someone intervenes and says, no, not the Iranian people. He meant Ukrainian. And the intern goes, okay. Not that I'm being obviously facetious and hyperbolic to a certain degree. But imagine someone working in the Fed just says, Iranian people, you got it. And then imagine someone else comes and says, the president meant Ukrainian. And they go, oh, okay, and change it. That's scary too. Joe Biden could come out and give an order and say, this country. And someone could go, I'm going to go ahead and assume he means a different country. And then they send weapons to the wrong country. This is the problem with a president who can't speak. One of our bingo places, whatever, I don't play bingo, whatever, bingo squares, was Joe Biden using fake words. And for the first 15 minutes, we're all staring at each other because Joe Biden kept saying things that weren't real words. And we were like, is he using fake words or is he just garbling? when he would say things like, he wouldn't necessarily say a fake word. He would just like, and we'd be like, wait, what? What did he say? He said freedom. And we're like, did he say freedom or freedom? I don't know. But then when he said clown fact, we were like, oh, clown fact, not a real word. I love how, take a look at Axios. They say, don't forget Biden as a child struggled with a stutter. He endured bullying until he worked to overcome the speech condition by reciting the words of Yeats and Emerson in the mirror. That is not why Joe Biden said Iranians, okay? Maybe sundowning? Now, my friends, it is not all bad. I don't want to act like his speech was just absolutely the worst. Truth be told, Joe Biden actually said a lot of really good things. And I'm going to give it to him. Then again, like I said, he's the guy crapping on my lawn. I certainly wouldn't vote for him. But when Joe Biden comes out to the nation and says, secure our borders, capitalism good, fund the police, I'm like, well then, interesting. Because what that's going to do is it's going to shift the narrative at the national scale. It is a major detriment to the woke cult in the culture where he's abandoned the far left. I'm happy to see it. Not that I think he's a good dude or worth voting for, but they're certainly trying to earn those points. Now, I'm not entirely a fan of the idea of funding the police after everything we've seen, but shifting the narrative I can respect. And I always clarify this, I do think policing is good. I do think police are overwhelmingly good. But in the past couple of years, what we've seen with the politicization of policing with Black Lives Matter and the January 6th defendants, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to support policing right now. Absolutely not. It's become too political. And maybe it's time we do need to clean house in some way. Let's talk about what Joe Biden wants. NBC New York says Biden wants to secure the border and fix the immigration system. Really? That one was amazing. You know why this was like one of the most amazing points of the State of the Union address? Because Joe Biden was like, Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer is retiring. And I've nominated, a Supreme Court Justice, Circuit Court, who's got the endorsement of the Fraternal Order of the Police. And I'm like, okay, sure. And then all of a sudden he's like, and we got to secure our borders. And I'm just like, wait, what? Total non sequitur. Like out of nowhere, he just randomly jumps to secure our borders. I was talking about a Supreme Court justice. And the reason this stuck out to us because on our bingo cards, we had race card pandering, like wokeness and newspeak. So hearing him talk about, his plans for a Black female Supreme Court justice, which is, basically, race card issues. Now, with full respect to the judge who was nominated. I don't care about her gender or race. I mean, I'm sure some people would. I care about her credentials. And from what I understand, her credentials are fantastic. And the Fraternal Order of Police endorsing it? Okay, fine. There you go. So I mean this in no way as disrespect to the great judge who has been nominated. And I'll see how she does, and I'll take a look at some of her rulings. And I actually, this is why I don't like race card issues, because I feel like it does detract from people of great talent and skill, which is the problem. I look for meritocracy. I see somebody who seems to have it. It's not like I've read the story of this woman's life, so. But that's what we were looking for. Is Joe Biden going to try and pander to critical race theory and use newspeak or anything like that? Newspeak. And then all of a sudden he just jumps to securing the border. And it was funny because Lauren Southern, just drunkenly yells out, based. Wow. Drunkenly cheering on Joe Biden. Well, my point here is I think it's a good thing. When you have people like Lauren, who has been accused of being alt-right and a white nationalist and all that stuff, which is just not true. Certainly, Lauren, my opinion of her is that she's a nationalist and populist, but not white nationalist, not alt-right or anything like that. They just do that. They use that as a smear to try and discredit. But, I got to be honest, like I care about what those people are saying. Like I'm trending on Twitter right now over, I don't care what these people think. I really don't. This country is split in half. But Lauren has been smeared and lied about for simply talking about the issues of immigration. And you even go as far as to explain the view of one of the political factions. They'll accuse you of supporting them. That being said, Lauren did get on a boat in the Mediterranean, and I believe it's been a long time, tried to block one of these trafficking vehicles. So, a bit more activisty in that regard than just being a documentarian. But to say it's motivated by racism or anything like that, that's assumption. That's making things up. We don't know. I say the same thing for when people are accusing these Canadians of being Nazis or whatever, and I'm like, look, man, unless someone comes out and they espouse and advocate for an overt ideology, I'm not interested in playing that game. But it was funny when Lauren yelled based. So Joe Biden wants to secure our borders. And this is why I said he was crapping on my lawn. It is the Biden administration that has allowed this porous border. It's the Biden administration that is trafficking illegal immigrant children throughout this country. And then he has the gall to get up there and be like, I want to secure our borders. No, you're the guy who's crapping on my lawn, not the guy who's going to stop you from crapping on my lawn. Sorry, I won't be voting for you. But here's where it gets real good. Joe Biden is not going to gain any moderate voters from this, in my opinion. He's only going to lose far left voters. Black Lives Matter tweeted, POV, listening to Biden declare the answer is not to defund the police, it's to fund the police. And then there's a sad-looking Maxine Waters. Yeah, Joe Biden did say that, and Black Lives Matter is upset. Well, they wanted people to vote for Joe Biden. All of these lefties who are like, Joe Biden's gonna end student loan debt. One of my favorite memes is it says, if Democrats were really rigging elections, we'd have universal health care and clean energy and a clean environment, and student loan debt would be forgiven. And I laughed because I'm like, to the people posting it, you really think Democrats want those things? Wake up. No, they don't. This is one of the reasons why I voted for Trump in 2020. Not that he's the best guy on the planet. Actually, I think he's kind of a bad dude in a lot of ways. But he was certainly better than the establishment that just spits on you and then lies, takes a piss and then claims it's raining. Donald Trump was like, he lied about weird things about his ego. But he didn't lie about things that were important, like we're selling weapons to Saudi Arabia. It's going to be great for the economy. And we're all just, that was such a profound moment for me watching Trump say that, because I think war is awful. I condemn Vladimir Putin, my support to the Ukrainian people in this dire time, but I don't want to see intervention or escalation. I don't know how you solve the problem. I'm not going to sit here and be like, the U.S. should start a war with Russia because Russia started a war. More war is not the solution. I don't know what is. I think the Ukrainian people are going to have to just resist. And it's very difficult. It is. Because I like Ukraine. I think it's an amazing country. And I know people there, and I want them to succeed, and I want them to be free. But, there's a war going on. I don't know how you solve for these problems. Anyway, I digress. Taking a look at what Joe Biden's doing, what he's saying. Here's one. Quote, I'm a capitalist, but capitalism without competition is not capitalism. You are correct, good sir. It's exploitation and it drives up prices. Boy, did he abandon the far left last night. Good on you, Joe Biden. Not for good reasons, but whatever. Here's the point I was making. If he's going to come out and say I'm a capitalist, if he's going to come out and say that he wants to secure the border and fund the police, the likelihood then of diminishes of censorship for us when we talk about very important issues. I'm not saying it's a guarantee. I'm not saying Joe Biden is being honest. But if Joe Biden says secure the borders, well, then you're less likely to be censored because the people who are supporting the Democratic establishment are now moving in that direction. And why? Well, I have the data right here for you. Do you approve or disapprove of the way Joe Biden's handling his job as president among independent voters? 23% approval. Yeah, Joe Biden, Democrats ain't going to be winning any elections on that one. You need independent voters. Here we have favorable opinion or unfavorable of Democratic Party, 21% favorable. That was the play last night. They know Donald Trump's MAGA platform worked. They're trying to be diet MAGA so that they can win over people who thought Trump had good policies but a potty mouth. And many people do. I hope you're paying attention, man. This could play well for Biden. I think, however, my view is there's going to be a lot of people who say my gas prices are too high, inflation is too high. I do not trust you to solve the problem, Joe Biden. Under Donald Trump, we had, quote, Jim Cramer, the best numbers of our lives. Under Donald Trump, did I say Donald Trump? Jim Cramer said the best numbers of our lives. Under Joe Biden, it's been miserable. Everything is objectively worse. So he can come out with every platitude and promise, I ain't buying it. Nah, man. I think there were a lot of problems in 2020, and that was under Trump with COVID, but it was Democrat governors who were pushing a lot of this stuff, locking things down and hurting our economy. And Republicans did too, because I don't think the Republicans are good. I saw a meme, and it said, because the Bible says you can't charge interest or whatever, Democrats should propose suspending or abolishing interest rates on student loan debt, and then quote the Bible and try and get and then get Republicans to vote it down or whatever. And I'm just like, I don't think they understand Republicans at all. You know, I will say I believe the establishment Republicans, same as establishment Democrats, would never allow that. But I would be willing to bet populist right-wing Republicans would take a look at a bill to get rid of student loan interest rates and be like, okay. Because here's my view. When it comes to student loans, they're predatory. We manipulate young people in this country into taking them on. We can say for sure, you signed it, it's your responsibility. And I agree with that. So here's what I say. Get rid of the predatory element of it. Pay back what you owe. And there you go. We're good. We're square, right? If you get a loan for 30 grand, pay back the 30 grand. You borrowed money. But if there's interest rates on top, I say we get rid of them. And I'd be willing to bet a lot of populist right-wing individuals do too, because we don't want young people to embrace government like communism. So sometimes it's the Chinese finger trap problem. You got to give a little to get more. The idea being, this is the way I see it. If college students can never break this debt cycle, I know people who got $30,000 loans and now owe like $100,000 because of interest rates going up, because the economy, they haven't been able to find work. And you can say whatever you want. The point is that shouldn't be. You pay back what you owe, maybe not compounding interest, maybe just a flat interest on inflation for the amount that was spent. So it's like you take out $30,000 and you owe an extra $1,500 on top. Just that, flat interest fee. Get rid of the interest rates. Let people pay down what they owe. Otherwise, my fear is if the debt keeps accruing and they become effectively indentured servants who can never find a way out, you're going to get communism. They're going to revolt, burn things down, and then they're going to vote in communists. Give them the opportunity to earn money and learn responsibility. That's the way I see it. So I don't think people on the left truly understand what the modern populist right wants. But this is important as well. It means the right needs to primary and get rid of all of the establishment Republican incumbents. Get them out. Step in. Bring in some America First populist types. Bring in people who are willing to support young working class people and find a solution for them. Tell them you will help them out. We don't want communism. Joe Biden apparently doesn't either, but I don't believe him. But we'll see how things go. Joe Biden made a lot of promises last night. Didn't talk up a lot of successes, to be honest, because he doesn't have any. We all eventually ended up winning our bingo cards, thanks to help from the audience who pointed out some of the things we missed. We drank many a beer and had a good time. You can check out the fun night we had over at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. It's fun. Check it out. But I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.